Chaos Adrenaline is back. We have an all-new holiday music review for you. With me, joining us last time, is Mark and Robert. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
So, this year, we have decided to kind of jump back, little nostalgia for some of us. If you were a child or even a teenager in the 80s and 90s, you probably remember Tales from the Crypt. A really uncensored horror anthology series that aired for 7 years on HBO. Started in 1989, so it's back there. But that didn't stop the kids from watching it. I remember seeing this thing and talking about it on the playground on Monday morning with my friends. So, Robert, you can't relate to that, can you?
I actually can. Yes. I actually can. I used to watch it as a kid, and funny enough, it was on late night on the Fox network.
Oh yeah, they did. They had the Fox version
back in the 90s. It was a little more censored.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, I'd actually stay up late at night when it came on Fox and watch it on Fox. But I had seen the episodes. I actually loved watching the HBO episodes.
Yeah, they were really good, and since it was on like Prime Cable, they were completely uncensored. They had all-out swearing, they had full violence, blood and gore, but this show also refined it. Like they fine-tuned what comedy horror was, and it's kind of interesting. I found out today that Mark, you have never actually seen Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, so several podcasts ago when we were having our conversation on horror, you may recall me saying that I grew up in a pretty strict household where my mom and dad were like, no, we're not going to watch that devil stuff, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we had HBO.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I watched Fraggle Rock all the time as a kid. That was a great one. But, anytime the intro for Tales of the Crypt would come on, my dad's like, turn that crap off. So,
So you would have absolutely loved the Crypt Keeper.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the guy is puntastic.
So I did notice that in this album.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite parts of it, actually.
Yes.
Yes, every time the Crypt Keeper would come on, he would not go more than 2 lines without saying some kind of pun about death or mortality or something to that effect. In fact, as the show went on, he stopped referring to the kiddies as boys and girls. We started referring to them as boils and ghouls. Mm-hmm. And that just became the regular. And it just goes uphill or downhill from there depending on who you are. So, but that follows into this album. The album is Tales from the Crypt, Have Yourself a Scary Little Christmas. This album, I had this on cassette way back in the day, and I remember listening to it, and it kind of got long forgotten in my memory databanks. And then my wife bought this for me for Christmas a few years ago, like on CD, and I'm like, holy crap, I forgot about this! And now we listen to it on the regular again. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, just a little history. I do have history with this album as well. I used to have it back in the 90s. So my sister had it, and so I mean, as you go in the 90s, you take the CD and make a mixtape of it, or rip it. This is old school parody music, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also had a tape.
Your own version made from
Yes.
listening to the CD, holding it up to the cassette player.
Yes.
Listening.
See, and I did it the old school way where I'd tape it off the radio, sometimes catching the DJ jawing.
No, I've done that as well.
Yeah.
Taking it off the radio.
Anyway.
Well, so this one was re-released on CD. I was pretty happy to get my hands on it, and I wanted to share the Christmas joy of the macabre. So with that, we'll go on to... we'll do the first 2 tracks here. The first one is just kind of an intro, where he, introduces the album. And then he goes on to the very first song, which is Deck the Hall with Parts of Charlie. You can see the silliness already coming in. So here we go.
With parts of Charlie, fa la 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 la. Make the Yuletide grace and Ollie, fa la 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 la. Stocking stuff.
Okay, so Deck the Halls with Parts of Charlie. As you can see, a lot of these songs are like parodies and satire. So instead of singing about joyous festive decorations, we're talking about throwing body parts everywhere.
Well, if you're morbid enough, I guess it's joyous festive decorations.
So sounds like my place around Halloween, but hey. I actually do listen to this song during the Halloween time too, so
there you go.
It works.
As you're decking the halls with Parts of Charlie.
Exactly.
So I'll mention this now. I have observed in the past that Halloween and Christmas are merging more and more, it seems.
Yeah.
You know, the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas is a perfect example of this. But
Yeah.
I've seen people dress up in costume for Christmas. I've seen people put up Halloween lights that are basically Christmas lights, except
yeah.
they're just,
Yeah.
We've got orange and black Christmas lights.
There you go, yeah. So, there's just so much the two holidays can borrow from each other. And this album in particular is just a great example, this track in particular.
So yeah, let's. I like one thing I love about this album too, especially songs like this, is that it has like a full orchestra behind it. It's not just like synthesized or kind of cheesy and weird. It's like they took a legit Christmas album and totally goofed with it, and I think that's fantastic. So, anything else you guys want to add about Deck the Hall with Parts of Charlie?
You know, not really. I mean, it is good for setting the tone. I mean, after the intro, it is good for setting the tone of what the album's actually going to consist of. So
I do giggle throughout the course of this song because I know a lot of people with the names that he uses in the song. You know, bits of Bruce and hunks of Arnie. I got an Uncle Arnie. My father-in-law's name is Bruce. And so I'm sitting here just kind of like, that's messed up. But you can't help but laugh at it because it's Tales from the Crypt. So the next track is actually one of, like, I think my favorite track on the album. It's just so funny. Is Juggle Bills.
The world's financial crunch has even hit St. Nick. He's had to lay off helpers, which made him downright sick. And now here comes the saddest news, news you won't believe. Dear Santa won't be coming to your house Christmas Eve. Santa Claus went broke just the other day.
Juggle Bills. This song is like anybody who is an adult around Christmas time can relate to this.
it's how you feel. Yes.
No matter, this is a song that will always be timeless. Like in 100 years, this song will still be relevant because at this time everyone's going in the red. You know, it's like everyone's buying presents, and it's just funny to think Santa Claus going broke. Oh man.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a macabre comfort to me to think that Santa has to deal with this kind of thing too. He's not exempt. He may be able to lay a finger aside of his nose and nod and magically ascend up a chimney, but he's still got to pay the rent.
Yes. No, it's definitely a song that you appreciate more in your adult years when you have more responsibilities as a kid.
Yeah, I sang this song as a kid, you know, Juggle Bills, you know, because it's just fun and silly, and it's the Crypt Keeper and everything. But having gone about a decade and a half not listening to it, and listening to it again as an adult, just like, oh man, that's hilarious. That's so terrible.
So much more to this song.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite lines in here is Santa's got a push cart selling chestnuts in the street.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I could totally, when he says that, I totally imagine that because I work downtown, so you got those people. I could totally see someone with a long white beard selling chestnuts.
Just put a Santa hat on him.
Yes.
oh man, yeah, but it's a very relatable, hilarious song, which just makes it so great. The next song is "We Wish You'd Bury the Missus," which, I mean, this song title specifically sounds like it's the setup for an episode of Tales from the Crypt to me. I would love to see this song turned into an episode, personally. So here we are, track 4, We Wish You'd Bury the Misses.
Merry Christmas, dear neighbor, it's the Smiths down the hill. Henry and Linda and the kids Jane and Bill. We hate to complain and to be such a pest, but this holiday season we have one request. We wish you'd bury the missus. We wish you'd bury the missus. We wish you'd bury the missus.
This song is fantastic. It's honestly my favorite on this.
Yeah, co-signed. This is my favorite song on the CD. Yeah.
This was actually the first. So this is how I was introduced to this album. Actually,
really,
this song. Yeah, because I mentioned that I recorded this tape off of my sister's CD that she had of this, and I'm walking by her room and I hear the song. I was like, "Is that Tales from the Crypt?" She's like, "Yeah, it's the Christmas album. This song's pretty awesome." So I sat there and listened to it with her, and then like, "Can I borrow the CD?" So
I think my favorite line in here is, "She's hurting property."
Yes.
So, I mean, he's gone through this litany, right? He's like, okay, we're trying to appeal to your sense of decency. No go. Okay. How about your sense of not wanting to get sick? She's just rife with disease. Still a no. Okay, how about hurting property value? Let's get you where it hurts, right in the wallet there. Yeah.
And like I said, this one could work in an episode of Tales from the Crypt because there's many episodes that happen in weird neighborhoods where death is a normal thing. And it could just be this corpse laying on the front yard. And was like, will you just get rid of that thing?
Yeah.
Please?
People driving by, shaking their heads.
Exactly.
That's what's so funny about this song is because, I mean, they're not like mad that his wife is dead. They're like, yeah, your wife has been dead. Great. You had a good cause. That's one of the lines in the...
Yeah, he killed her, and it's known that he straight up murdered her.
It's known. And they're like, but, she is kind of beginning to decay and
kind of funk up the joint.
Funk up the joint, funk up the neighborhood. Just bury her already.
Yeah. We're not questioning your motives, past is in the past.
Just do us all a favor.
Like my favorite line is, we don't want to be Pertinskis.
Yeah, we don't want to be Patinskis.
It's like...
that's a phrase that was used a lot in my house, Badinsky. Don't be such a Badinsky. Yeah. And so to hear that in this just cracks me up too. Okay, well, we'll bury the misses then, and we'll move on to track 5, Mo Tannenbaum. The tale of
an embalming enthusiast.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yes.
That is.
Yeah.
Chestnuts and holly and pine fill the air, and songs of the season are heard everywhere, though everyone's happy and full of good cheer. Some guy named Mo ruined my Christmas this year. Mo Tannenbaum, you did embalm my dad and mom, and sister Kate and brother Tom.
So Mo Tannenbaum isn't just a embalming enthusiast. He can't wait for people to die. Like, literally, he doesn't wait until people are dead.
That's enthusiast with a capital E.
He's more of a serial killer, embalming enthusiast.
Proud to display his work.
Yes. This one's like right on line with the last one. We'd wish you buried the missus, because the guy is like, well, you did a really nice job. I just wish you waited till they were dead.
Thanks for doing such a good job, but let him die first.
Robert, you mentioned this guy's a serial killer. He'd be like, no, I'm not. No, I'm an embalmer.
I'm an embalmer.
Embalming, folks, is what I do.
Rationalization.
I'm a step above the taxidermist. It's people appreciate my work.
Yeah. So I gotta say, I learned the Christmas carol O Tannenbaum in German when I was in grade school.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to learn it. We sang it as a class, things like that. So, hat tip to the Crypt Keeper for coming up with a surname that rhymes with Tannenbaum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's not that it doesn't rhyme with "Oh Christmas Tree," it actually rhymes with "Oh Tannenbaum."
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
next level.
clever. Yeah.
I think my favorite laugh line in the song is, "You did it all on Christmas Eve."
Yes.
You know, this wasn't just puzzling, it was also tacky.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's you may have noticed a little thing with this also. Every one of these songs doesn't really start out like the traditional song. There's almost like a 30-second opening that they do for each one that sets the stage for the song itself, and then it dives in, and I like that. It kind of breaks up the monotony of the song itself, as a normal song, Christmas song.
Yeah, I love the narrator of the song because it's playing off like he got an ugly Christmas sweater for Christmas. And it's like because he's just like, I really appreciate the idea, but
Yeah,
it's like, thanks, but
yeah, the Mo Tannenbaum is almost like the crappy gift that you're happy you got, quote, I think.
Yeah.
So, oh boy. And with the next one is just a dialogue, a Christmas card for the Crypt Keeper. So we'll just take a quick listen to that one.
Oh, how sweet! A Christmas card for creepy old me? Slice up 2 big toes, add a tongue and then saute. Dice around red nose, roast a rump fillet. 1 juicy pumping heart whets my appetite. When I get hungry, I run out and slay someone tonight. Finger food, munch a thumb today. Oh, what a treat it is to eat the neighbors on Christmas Day. Season's greetings, Hannibal the cannibal. Oh, you old gourmet, you.
So a Christmas card for the Crypt Keeper from Hannibal Lecter. Kind of speak sung to Jingle Bells.
it is. This is a fantastic buffer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually signifying like the middle of the album. We're right at the middle of the album here, actually.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those 1-minute buffers that gets you set up for the remainder of the album, pretty much.
One of my favorite things about horror stories is you start out with a premise and you're like, okay, this seems interesting, let's investigate. And as you go deeper and deeper into the story, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder, right?
Uh-huh.
So I like that this track manages to do that in the space of less than a minute. It starts out with a recipe that, sounds like it's something out of a Shakespeare play, Eye of Newt, Wing of Bat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, we're having finger food. So there's the pun. And then after that it's like, oh, we're eating the neighbors. Oh, okay. Oh, and this recipe comes courtesy from Hannibal the Cannibal. So we're just going down the cave and just, how deep is this going to go?
Hannibal loves to have the neighbors for dinner.
Yeah. I'd love to stay in Clatcherries, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Mm-hmm. That is by far my favorite line in that whole movie. Oh man. Okay, well with the introduction of Hannibal, we go into the Christmas rap, reminding us that this came out in the 90s, where we get to hear about a few other horror icons from that era.
Nicholas, Christmas Day is near. Me and all my fiendish friends have something you should hear. Kids are swell, but ghouls from hell.
Oh, so in the first couple of verses, we already hear about Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Lizzie Borden, and Jack the Ripper. Mm-hmm. And what they all want for Christmas.
I like how Lizzie Borden wants a new set of parents and an axe, of course.
So to go with the parents.
The new set,
Yeah. The song is your standard 90s generic rap tune.
Yeah, the generic, like, friendly-ish, like,
Non-gangster.
Yeah, it's just, it's my least favorite song on the album, even though the lyrics kind of make me giggle, but just because it's a very out-of-place song in the album.
It is. I mean, the other songs so far have been have the Christmas music sound with the jingle bells and stuff, the stuff that people just can't stand. or at least people like us can't.
Yeah, I'm actually glad they put this rap song in there because something you may recall from reviews past, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Christmas music.
What?
Yeah, so this was actually a refreshing change. And while it does feel a bit dated, it also feels a bit nostalgic to me. This is kind of a throwback to the 80s or early 90s rap where it would always begin with, "My name is Slick Rick and I'm here to say I'm the baddest rapper in the USA," that kind of thing. So I kind of dug the kitschy little
Word mark.
Yeah.
So, the Christmas rap, just kind of an interesting little 90s throwback there.
It is a nice little ditty.
And then the next two are kind of like, we got the intro to the Crypt Keeper Family Christmas and then the Crypt Keeper's Family Christmas. So do we want to do these separate or just go into 1 and 2?
Let's go into 1 and 2.
Okay, so tracks 8 and 9 to the Crypt Keeper Family Christmas with intro.
Okay, boys and girls, gather around, story time. A long time ago, there was a family dinner. Quiet kiddies, the relatives would all come there to dine. Shut up while I'm singing! Thank you. Weird things happen when families get together, especially when the family is mine. Good old Uncle Ned dropped dead in the chestnut dressing. Grandma Rose turned up her toes, following the blessing. After that,
The Crypt Keeper Family Christmas is my favorite opening. Not my favorite song, but the opening is hilarious. Just shut up while I'm singing!
Well, he starts out so sweet and grandfatherly, like, "Come around, children, story time." And there's just this incessant little tittering and giggling. He's like, "Shut up while I'm singing!"
And then it's a parody of Good King Wenceslas. Like, that's a song that a lot of people I know kind of forget exists. It's just kind of a weird, obscure holiday song. But I think it's hilarious that they've done that in this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I love about the whole song, I mean, he's talking about his whole family dying at Christmas dinner, and there's a really nice kicker at the end. I mean, spoiler alert, he puts poison in the food.
Yeah. It's like this big tale about how this great tragedy is happening, but then at the end he's like giggling about it because he's responsible.
Yeah. This Family Massacre is easy when you have cyanide.
Yeah.
Kind of got the impression that he was being like Hannibal from the A-Team, sitting back with his stogie saying, "I love it when a plan comes together."
There you go, yeah. I could totally picture that as well.
Okay, so after that we go to an odd little telling of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," called, you guessed it, "'Twas the Fright Before Christmas."
'Twas the fright before Christmas, and all through the crypt not a creature was stirring, except those being whipped. corpses
Oh,
were
the
hung
Crypt
by their
Keeper.
lips and their hair.
Setting traps for Santa Claus. Would we expect anything less?
A quicksand trap, no less.
Yeah.
No less. This is also another great one because it's playing off of obviously the Night Before Christmas poem, but with its very morbid twist. He catches Santa, and he's talking about catching Santa in a quicksand trap, and Santa trying to get unstuck, and then the reversal of fortune for him.
Yeah. The him coming to the Crypt Keeper and actually saying, "Hey, I've got presents for you." The Crypt Keeper's like, "Oh, crap! Now I feel good and happy, and I need to save him."
Reminds me of Skeletor. I don't want to feel good. I want to feel evil.
I am not nice. I am not kind, and I am not wonderful. If you haven't seen the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special, Who Doggy, find that on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very Skeletor Christmas attitude.
It is, yes.
Yeah, and I also appreciate how he was able to rhyme palaver with cadaver.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a stretch rhyme, and he got it done.
Oh, the people who wrote this album their writers were fantastic.
Yeah, the guy who does the Crypt Keeper's voice, I can't remember his name. He's also the puppeteer for it. Like, I'm assuming over the years he got really good at stuff like that and like started to look things up. Because he also wrote a lot of his own dialogue for it too, which is just impressive. Doing all that. So it is pretty great. Some of the little weird things like that they're able to pull off.
Mm-hmm. I did appreciate that Santa was able to pull the old switcheroo on the Crypt Keeper at the end. But the question I'm left with: how did he keep the quicksand from freezing over on Christmas Eve?
Well, quicksand's typically in swampy areas, down. So I'm guessing he's down in Florida.
Okay, there you go.
So
Florida man sets quicksand trap for Santa.
there you go.
There's a Weekly World News headline for you.
I could honestly see that being it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh god, the drudgery that is the 12 Days of Christmas. There are very few versions of this song that I can listen to in their entirety. This is one of them, to an extent. But so that we have the 12 Days of Cryptmas as track 11.
On the first day of Cryptmas, my ghoul love gave to me a trip to the mortuary. On the second day of Cryptmas, my ghoul love gave to me 2 murderous shoves and a trip to the mortuary. On the third day of Cryptmas, my ghoul love gave to me 3 lethal blows, 2 murderous shoves and a trip to the mortuary. On the fourth day of Cryptmas, my
I've heard a lot of parodies of the 12 Days of Christmas, and some of them get really, old after a while. But this one is funny.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with everybody has with the 12 Days of Christmas. It's a long, monotonous song.
Yeah.
This one's still long and monotonous as well.
But they're funny.
It's funny. It is a funny twist on there, and I love the emphasis when he has 4,000 volts.
4,000 volts!
That was my favorite line. And I love
Yes.
how his voice always just shut up.
Yes.
Every single time he
Yeah.
does it. It's freaking hilarious.
So, agree with you, gents, about the monotony of listening to this song. I look forward to hearing the 12 Days of Christmas performed the same way I look forward to hearing a rousing rendition of 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
I agree with you, Mark. It's one of my least favorite Christmas songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not my least favorite one, and we discussed that.
we've had this discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I must say, though, the day number 1 has a special place on my heart where he says, "And a trip to the mortuary." Back when I was a good-for-nothing teenager, tweenager, whatever, we were in Scouts, and Scoutmaster asked us, "So, we're trying to think of activities for you guys. What do you want to do?" And we all looked at each other and like, "We want to go to a mortuary." I'm not kidding.
Wow.
So, and they're... What, you really want to do that? And we all looked at each other. Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that. We've never done that before. So they arranged a tour
Wow.
of the mortuary. We got to see the crematorium, we got to see the embalming room, we got to see all the coffins that were on display. It was really a treat. So
That's interesting.
yeah, so that having day number 1 be and a trip to the mortuary, I'm so right there with it.
That's cool. You actually got the Crypt Keeper's first day of Christmas.
Wow,
Aw.
that's special. It's a Christmas miracle, Mark.
It is. Missed out on the 4,000 volts though, briefly.
Yeah.
No, well, some people, that's what takes them to the trip to the mortuary.
Or the 5 mortal wounds.
There's a few of them there.
Or the 6 things disembowling.
Yeah. It's an entertaining romp through that song.
It is, yeah.
So, the next two is another intro into another song. We got intro to The Revenge of the Crypt Keeper, and then The Revenge of the Crypt Keeper. So, track 12 and 13, intro to and Revenge of the Crypt Keeper.
Who ordered all this nauseating cheer? I've had Christmas up to here. I'm mad and I'm not gonna take it anymore. So here's the little plot that I've got in store. Up on the roof with nails and saws, I'll build a trap for Santa Claus. And when he
Remember
lands in
earlier
the
I mentioned
cozy
how it was
sleigh-
really great how this was all like actual orchestrations and everything? It is pretty nice though to have a little Casio backing for one of the
It's like
songs.
Casio backbeat.
Yeah, for a parody of Up on the Rooftop.
Yeah.
Because singing that as a little kid, it's a very childish song. Then they have taken this one to a very not childish level.
I also enjoyed the idea of, okay, the quicksand trap from a couple tracks earlier didn't work.
Uh-huh.
Santa pulled the old switcheroo. So he's back. He's got a better idea. He's just going to throw a bag over him when he lands on the roof.
Yes. Yes. I mean, obviously, Revenge of the Crypt Keeper.
Like it's actually a sequel song.
It's a sequel song. It's actually a nice bookend to that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun to see that consistency going through it. And yeah, this is just another silly, fun little one. And I think at this point, the album is starting to wind down, so they wanted to just kind of throw in a goofy one there.
Yeah, and I also love how this track ends with him saying, "And I'm going after the Easter Bunny nuts."
Yeah, like, one down. So we're getting down. This is the one that has an actual like normal title. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which sort of is a song, but there's a secondary story going behind it. So on with this one.
Merry Christmas, you lunatics. Merry Christmas, Kabelski.
Here's your Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Merry Christmas, McCrae.
Be light.
McCrae?
So we
You
got
all
the
right?
Crypt Keeper singing the actual lyrics to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Meanwhile, we hear just the sounds of a lunatic escaping an asylum.
Yeah. This is a nice, interesting track on this album because it's the Crypt Keeper is just singing his normal voice, but you got a little vignette going on in the background or foreground, I should say, because
Yeah, the music is actually more of a background thing.
the music switches from foreground to background, and then you get this vignette going in the foreground, and it's a pretty interesting vignette. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I like how it progresses. I'm going to spoil the ending a bit. I'm particularly fond of how, okay, so this guy escapes his jailer, goes on the lam, and then you hear him breaking into a house, and there's this little kid's voice screaming in fright, "Ah! Ah!" And then it changes, it just turns on a dime. It's like, "Mommy, Daddy's home for Christmas!"
Exactly.
In classic Tales from the Crypt fashion.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best kicker out of all of them.
the twist ending there.
Is
It's
there-
a family story.
because you're like, oh, this is gonna get pretty morbid. It's Tales from the Crypt. You expect it, and then because it's like you said, Mark, it's like you hear the little kid screaming, and you're like, man, this got really dark. And then the kicker, Daddy's home for Christmas, and you're like, and it makes you have, it's like, oh, the family's together again.
Oh, how nice!
It's a very sentimental story with a very sentimental song.
Yeah, and it's very reminiscent of an older episode, one of the first episodes of Tales, actually, where a escaped convict is dressed up as Santa Claus.
Yes,
and like that episode doesn't have that twist in it. It has a different twist in it, but it would be interesting, if they reworked that episode to have that ending.
Maybe this was a different draft of that episode.
Who knows?
it could have been. Yes.
So we've reached the end of our album, our final track, 15, Should Old Cadavers Be Forgot? I get a particular kick out of this one. It's also the longest track on the album, coming in at just over 4 minutes. So here we go, the last track of Tales from the Crypt, Have Yourself a Scary Little Christmas.
Well, looks like another year's bit the dust. That's time for you. Eerie today, gaunt tomorrow. You can't let it get you down. You gotta do what I do. Throw a killer party. Though old cadavers tend to rot, they're all good friends of mine. I throw a party.
Oh, improper humor. It's one of our favorites.
It is, yes.
Should Old Cadavers Be Forgot? This one kind of blindsides you a little. When you first think of this, it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be the Crypt Keeper singing about dead bodies. He's actually singing about a party that he throws at New Year's Eve where a bunch of celebrities show up that are dead. And it dates all the way back to old kings and queens to modern day celebrities. I mean, he mentions Elvis in there all the way to Lincoln. So it's kind of a different take on what you'd expect from the Crypt Keeper.
I did like that after all the Christmas songs, they rounded it out with a New Year's song at the end. Well, the New Year's song, I should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I also appreciate that the famous people that he chose to mention were not, specific to the year when this was released.
Yeah.
That it was people like Lincoln and Babe Ruth and Elvis and that are kind of timeless, so that this track wouldn't sound too dated.
He mentions people all throughout time, because he mentions Genghis Khan in there.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I guess a good history lesson in this song, if you want to take it that way. But it's also a good way to end and round out the album there. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I think I love the closing line where he says, "We're not getting older, we're getting deader."
Yes.
Yeah, and I love how he mentions how everybody comes to this party. Eventually.
Yeah, Oingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the dead man's party that he was singing about. All right.
That's it. Yes. I love the verse where he's talking about Elvis, where he can't figure out if he's dead or not.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
So that's it. Have Yourself a Scary Little Christmas, presented by Tales from the Crypt. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Tales from the Crypt, the old TV show. It was really great. I have great fond memories of it. My parents had cable, and I would, like I've mentioned in the horror review, I snuck down in the middle of the night to watch horror movies and stuff, and Tales from the Crypt was one of those things that I loved to watch. I never missed it. I loved it. I still have it, now on DVD. I watch it pretty regularly. It's a great show. And for them to pull a Christmas album instead of a Halloween album, I don't know of a Halloween album of Tales from the Crypt, so this was actually pretty fun. It's one of the few Christmas albums that I like to actually listen to a lot of.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy this album if you're like me. You're a walking encyclopedia of horror movies. I have some funny stories from work of people, because they were like, are there any really good Christmas horror movies? So I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, let's see, you got Jack Frost, explaining not the one with Batman, the one with the one where the
The psycho killer.
Possesses a snowman.
Like his DNA gets merged with a snowman.
And then they got a really good laugh because I also mentioned Frozen, and
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Casey knows what I'm talking about, and because they thought I was talking about the Disney Frozen, I'm like, no, guys, you gotta listen, hear me out. Not Disney Frozen. There's actually a horror horror movie called Frozen where people get stuck up on a ski lift.
Like over a weekend.
Over a weekend.
It is terrifying.
It is a very suspenseful, terrifying.
Filmed
movie.
here in Utah, I might add, as well.
Park City, I believe.
Yeah, it was either Park City or Alta, one of them. But it was filmed here in Utah, and it's a freaky, scary movie.
Yeah,
not to be confused with the Disney one though.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. but so yeah, you're a big horror fan. You're gonna love this, especially if you love Tales from the Crypt. There's it's a very interesting album to say the least. It has a perfect balance of morbid humor and satire in it. So I would recommend it to any horror fan out there.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not normally a big fan of Christmas music, so it was actually really rewarding to hear these gruesome parodies of these songs. I was like, yeah, get them. Yeah.
There's more where that came from, Mark.
But this also had a really big Dr. Demento kind of vibe for me. Just silly, goofy, ridiculous out there songs kind of thing. So yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so with that, we're glad that you gave a listen to us, and we'll keep you posted on other ones of these in the future. Hopefully we'll do more than a couple a year. So we're actually going to be focusing more on Chaos Adrenaline in the near future. Hopefully we'll have a few more things popping up for you. We will see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Are you still here, creeps? The crypt is closed.